Swiper, what exactly did LeBron say about Nikola Jokic?
He just said he was asked by Steve Nash about just question about offense or whatever. Then he said that Jokic is the most dominant, complete offensive player that he's played against in his career. Is what he said.
And
so obviously going from Steph, KD, Kobe, Duncan, Shaq, '03, obviously. T-Mac in that era, Melo, Blake, all those other players.
Steve Nash.
So why is it? My question is again, in that statement, Swiper, the most complete, the most dominant player that I've ever faced. Not that's ever played in the game, but the one that I've ever faced. Why is that ridiculous for him to say that? Because I wasn't around when Jabbar was playing. I wasn't in the league when Jordan was playing. I didn't play against Hakeem Olajuwon. I didn't play against none of these guys, Chamberlain or Jerry. I didn't play against any of these guys. I did play against Bryant. I did play against Joker. I did play against Kevin Durant. I did play against Giannis. I did play against Kawhi Leonard. I played against all of these dudes. This dude right here, in terms of his complete package offensively, I have never gone up against a guy who is more complete and more dominant. Because remember when he saw Shaq, first of all, he got Shaq when Shaq was old. But when he saw Shaq, Shaq was on the other side of who he was. He didn't get to see 2000 Shaq. He didn't get to see 99 or 2001 Shaq. No, he got 2006 Shaq. He got 2009 Shaq. So that's a different Shaq as opposed to what we're seeing now with Joker. This is the most awesome offensive player that I've ever gone against. I don't understand why that's ridiculous for him to say that.
Well, the direct question from
Who said it's ridiculous?
Nash was, it's not ridiculous. The direct question from Steve Nash was, is this the best offensive player you've ever played? Mm-hmm. LeBron James thinks, hesitates, and does not respond with a direct yes, just to be fair, and then says, oh, he's the best and most complete. I think players like Steph Curry ran through his head when he was pondering. I think players like, Kobe and Kevin Durant probably, pondered in his mind. That's why he kind of hesitated. But it's not ridiculous to say that Jokic is the best offensive player he's played.
I don't think Steph Curry is as awesome as Steph Curry is. The most dangerous basketball player, and to Ox's point, the most dangerous basketball player to step on the floor. I don't think he dominated an offense like Joker does. Even when he was at his best, I don't think he dominated as a distributor, as a playmaker, as a bucket getter, as a ball handler. I don't think he dominated an offense as well as Joker did.
So, Chill, do you think Jokic is better than Steph Curry?
When he's at his best?
This a while ago. Yeah.
The bet, yes, I do. I do think that. Offensively, yes, I do.
Which means Shea's better than Steph Curry, too.
Now, there's a difference between playing.
Because you said Shea's better than Jokic.
Well, I said Shea is better than him right now. Now,
yeah. This is the best Jokic has been. No.
Well, I've already said that. I've already said SGA is better than Curry today. I said that.
No.
Now, is he better than? Is he better than him? Is he better than him all time? Not all time. I'm sorry.
No.
The best version of him. I would have to think about that, Mars. I would. I would have to sit down and think about that, because when I think about Steph Curry, just in like the 2015, 2016 Steph Curry, and how dangerous he was. Is SGA that dangerous? Is SGA affect the game that much as Curry did? And can he turn the game around as well as Curry did? And I ain't even talking about overall, just with his one ability to shoot the basketball. Like SGA has a number of different ways to affect the game in terms of getting out in transition, causing steals, things like that. Can he turn the game around in one way like Curry could? No.
Well, sure. That's the thing, kind of like what y'all were just talking about with Jokic and all the things he does. I think so. For that, when you look at in totality, like all the stuff that he does on the offensive end, I don't have a problem at all with LeBron James saying what he said. Although, as you know, I disagree. I just think Jokic puts his fingerprints all over the game on the offensive end in particular. My thing with guys like Shaq and guys like Steph Curry, it's just similar to, I don't know, like when you just having that weapon right there. It's like if you compare it to like a battle or something, right? And these dudes they just got so many different type of guns, just shooting you, throwing all types of grenades over there.
You don't have that.
These dudes are just straight dropping bombs. Like with basketball, the point of the offense is to score the basketball, right? So if I have a guy like Shaq who I can dump it to and he's just gonna boom score the basketball, boom score the basketball, or a guy like Steph who can move without the ball, catch the ball, and you know it's going in. It's like a layup. Like I don't care because the point of the offense is to score the basketball.
Sure.
So if I got a guy with a weapon that's just as potent as your ability to pass and do this, in fact, it's more potent than that. I don't care about all the other things you can do. If we're dissecting the basketball player and talking about all the things they can do, I think we have to talk about that. It's worthy of that, right? You deserve that to be spoken about. But the point of the offense is to score the basketball. So if I got one guy with one weapon and that one weapon can't be touched, it's a bomb. Like it's just a bomb. Steph Curry
like a nuclear bomb.
Steph Curry is the most dangerous man to ever step on the basketball court. Shaquille O'Neal is a very close number 2.
And I think that's what my point was, Mars, that one thing that Curry does to affect the game, I think it may be at that particular time, I think it's more potent than all this. It's as good as SGA is right now. I think that one thing that Curry does, I just think that it's a little bit more potent than what SGA is doing. That one thing. I think the SGA affects the game in a number of different ways. And I think that when you're talking about a guy who, when we get into the meat and potatoes of the game, I can just basically bend the game the other way. But Curry, on the other hand, he can not only do that in the meat and potatoes of the game, he can do that in a number of different aspects of the game. He can do it when we start halftime and we're up by 3. We can go from being up by 3 to being up by 17 just like that. With SGA, we could go on a run, but it's comparable to it. Our defense has to get busy. In addition to our defense causing turnovers, I got to start getting busy.
Just for context, to talk about what LeBron said in the title topic. Right now, Jokic is averaging 1.36 points per possession in the post, which would be the greatest postseason that would be the greatest postseason ever. That's just a scoring. If you include passes this year, Jokic is averaging 1.35 points per possession, which would be the greatest postseason we've ever seen. He's currently averaging 1.14 per possession as a spot-up shooter. He's averaging 1.5 off cuts this year. He's averaging 1.38 points per possession as an isolation scorer this year, which would be one of the best isolation scoring seasons we've ever seen. So I do think that, to Braun's point, I mean, at this point, it's kind of like, when Jokic is shooting 45% from 3, which he's doing right now, he's shooting 70% from long mid-range, which he's doing right now. He's shooting 7% from mid-range, which he's doing right now, and he's shooting 75% at the rim. And then he's the best screener in the league. You know, he's averaging 11 assists a game. Yeah, I don't know. You know, it's just we've never seen a player like that before, and we've never seen a season like this either. So he's going on back-to-back years of doing this, and he's playing even better now than he did last year. So I don't know. Like, I think it frustrates people because Stan Van Gundy said he might be the best player ever. Then LeBron comes out and said he's the most complete and dominant offensive player ever. Then you had like Steve Kerr say he was the best center ever last year. And then you had Kevin Durant say he's a top 10 player of all time last year. I do think we've gotten to a point now where, you know, Kevin Garnett called him Wilt Chamberlain like a few months ago. Like, yeah, I think all of the coaches and players that seem to talk about Jokic that were all great.
But Swipe, can't we just say this? Can't we say this with all? Because we did the same thing when Olajuwon went on that run those 2 years when they won the NBA championship. But he's the best 5-man in NBA history. Like that happened when they won the NBA championship for the 3rd straight year. Shaq's the best 5-man in NBA history. That was going on. Like we've had conversations like this in the past. That this guy.
But doesn't it mean something to you that Steve Kerr played against all those people and coached against all those people, and then he's the one making that comment now?
It does, just like it means something to me that James would say that. I mean,
right.
because he saw.
Swipe, it's never meant anything to you though that NBA player.
We're just talking about.
Player.
We're just talking about.
No.
Right
Please don't cut me off.
Steve Kerr ain't never been on the block with Kareem.
Swipe, you've never cared that NBA player after NBA player has Kobe ranked like top 3. It's never
I do care.
Your ranking of.
I do
Kobe.
care, but
no, you don't because
I have a difference.
It's not like you come out and say, well. All these players.
We're not talking about Kobe. To be fair, like we're not talking about Kobe at all. There are also players that don't have.
Obviously, no. I'm making the comparison and the correlation.
But what do you feel like? What do you feel like?
You're trying to imply a point. if you're trying to imply the point that because these coaches and players are saying it, shouldn't we just accept it to be true and a fact? Yeah, that is what you're implying.
My question was, what does it mean to him that he's hearing that?
I'm going to go ahead and just keep talking. The reason why I brought up Kobe is because, like I said, multiple players and coaches have said the same about Kobe, and you do not care about that. You don't rank Kobe highly. In fact, I'm pretty sure you have him barely top 10, if not already passed up by Jokic and Curry and being outside the top 10, if he's not 10th or something for you. So what I'm saying is I'm going to have that same energy that you have.
I don't have that energy towards Kobe, actually.
It is. Actually.
I wouldn't interrupt the Kobe segment to bring up a point that's irrelevant.
Shift my opinion about Jokic.
No. The question I asked Chill was, what does it mean to you that Steve Kerr has coached and then played against these people, and that's how he feels, given that he's currently playing in his prime and he's in the league right now? It's not changing my opinion about anything. It's just that's a good question. But we can move on. I do realize that there are people up here that don't agree with this, and so for them, this is obviously a lot of talk and smoke. So I understand that this is, it is what it is.
I'm with all the smoke when it comes to Joker. Joker is a generational player. Let's cut the shit. Let's stop acting like this dude is just a good player. Let's stop acting like this dude is just a great. No. When Joker's finished playing, we're going to have different conversations. We're going to be talking about him like we talk about Chamberlain and Jabbar and Russell. We're going to be talking about this dude. Yes, we are going to be talking about this dude like that when his career's over. If he keeps doing what he's doing, we're 100% going to be talking about him like that. Absolutely. If he keeps doing what he's doing.
And
no question about it.
He is undoubtedly one of the greatest centers ever, one of the greatest players ever. Because for whatever reason, people up here called us straight when we all agreed it's not crazy for LeBron to say that he's the greatest offensive player that he's played. Nobody up here disagreed with that. But because we aren't on our knees with pads on, right, we get astray. So fine. What I'm going to say, though, is that it is crazy to say that Jokic is the greatest player ever. That is insane. But sure, Jokic is one of, if not arguably, the greatest offensive player ever. Nobody up here disagree with that statement whatsoever.
I think it's a little bit premature. Don't get me wrong. Stan Van Gundy saying that he's the best ever. Now, could he be the best ever? I don't know. But if you keep doing what you're doing and you win some more, I think we can have a different conversation about that. But Stan Van Gundy, he was around when Jabbar was playing. He's seen Jabbar play, right? He's seen Jordan play. He's seen James play. So to end it
Stan Van Gundy ought to be ashamed of his
to say that shit right now, to say it right now, like Joker's been in the league since 2015. So after 10 years, you're telling me what Joker is today. He's the best player that you've ever seen when you've seen Jabbar, when you've seen Jordan, when you've seen James, when you've seen Lajuan, Duncan, Shaq. You've seen all of these dudes. Bryant. Line them all up. You've seen all of these dudes. To say that Joker is the best that you've ever seen today, if his career was over today, I think that's a little bit. I think that's a little wow. Because I'm a little bit different, Ron.
But chill. I think Stan Van Gundy has every right to say what he said. I think Stan Van Gundy. I'm not mad at Stan Van Gundy for saying that because I think it's I'm with dudes like Shaq and Charles sometimes when they be getting on the youngsters and especially when they get on the bigs and tell them, hey, I need to get on the block. You're playing soft. I think it's a breath of fresh air for the basketball community to have an older dude that's seeing these guys to put to maybe, I think it might be a little cap, but to be pushing forward for the youngsters because I do think there needs to be. Hold on, Ron. Hold on.
To lie on his big greasy lips.
But
you think that's cool?
Give me 20 seconds, bro. Give me 20 seconds.
You think that's cool out of his big greasy lips to lie?
I don't agree necessarily with Stan Van Gundy, but Nikola Jokic is a great basketball player. There are a lot of great basketball players that we've seen. I think Stan Van Gundy is a great basketball mind. I think his opinion should be respected.
I think
you know what I'm saying? I do. Now, I said that yesterday. I think Jeff need to holler at his brother, though. But with that being said, Stan Van Gundy is a great basketball mind, and he has the right to his opinion. Just like we have the right to our opinions, I don't think he said anything wrong. I don't agree with everything he said, but I think that Stan Van Gundy needs to speak up for these type of players because they get a lot of pushback. You know what I mean? I think I might go a little overboard sometimes with pushing back on some of these dudes. And Stan Van Gundy, there needs we gotta find middle ground. We need balance.
Ox, I think
Stan Van
I'm
Gundy
calling
ain't the
you out.
balance.
Ox, I'm calling you out right now on your hypocrisy. What are you a hypocrite about? I'll explain, Ox. Not too long ago, you told Chill, right? You told Chill that, hey, these old dudes out here be capping for the young players because they don't want to.
I said they were scared.
Smoke.
Yes, he
They
did.
don't want all that
Yes, he
pushback.
did.
But now, since your clip about DeMarcus Cousins is out and being better than Jokic, you done caught some pushback on the internet. Now you want to come back up here and save face.
Oh, that's what happened.
I see the play.
Hell no.
I see the play. You're not
Real
running
talk.
it by me.
Hold on, bro. Hold
I see
on.
the
You're
play.
trying to
Hold
save
on.
face
I
to
would
save
never-
your black
I would-
ass.
I
We
would
all
never.
need you.
I would never, because I'm not scared of these punks. I would never do that.
I'm not
I
neither.
just think well, I'm just saying I'm not. I don't have a problem with the pushback from the youngsters. But what I do think is that Stan Van Gundy, it's not. I don't think Stan Van Gundy just went out and just was being disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. I don't think he disrespected anybody. You know, that's more so what I'm saying. I think he has a right to his opinion. I think Stan Van Gundy has been around, to Chill's point, he's been around for so long. He's seen so much. And at some point, somebody got to stick up for the youngsters, man. That's all I'm saying.
Jumped on me when I did that.
Chill, because that shit was ridiculous. Chill, that was ridiculous.
Chill, you scared of these young dudes, even though I watch LeBron James and Bryant and Curry and all these dudes, and I think they can awesome. And I know that
Well, because Chill, I'll be up here with you, and I've seen you be a fence jumper. I don't be with Stan Van Gundy. I don't know what Stan Van Gundy be doing. Chill. I have seen you. I seen you hop the fence. Hold on, wait, Ron. Well, because hold on one second. Because Chill,
what is it?
I had seen you on one side, and then do kind of what Real Talk said I did, catch a lot of pushback from the young crowd. And you know what I'm saying, being you know, I think sometimes you catch a lot of slack on certain on everywhere because you're big in this space. Sure. So I think a lot of times people throw it all on you.
Yep.
And I think at some point you got tired of it and was like, you know, maybe let me come over this side a little bit.
Top 5? How come Kobe Bryant ain't top 5 all time? If I'm jumping the fence.
1-on-1.
Yeah, why is that?
Oh man, that's all. Yeah, you can't just call that one. It's not about the all-time rankings, Chill.
Okay,
it's not about all-time rankings.
Okay, so let's stay right.
It ain't about rankings, Chill. It's about the basketball conversation.
Okay, so let's stay right here. Why do I? So I think that SGA is the best player in the world. I said that before the season started. Why am I still on that?
You said that's because of winning, Chill. To be fair.
And have I not been consistent when it comes to winning?
No, you always had that as a
Chill,
criteria.
wait, Swiper. Would you say that Chill has kind of moved down as far as going from like rocking with the old heads to moving over this way to being more with the youngsters? I think you're moving this way, and I don't think that's a bad thing because, like I said, this year that was my New Year's resolution. I tried, I just don't got the heart for it. I couldn't do it. I tried my hardest.
Oh, so you jump in the fence too?
No, okay, I tried to. It's just too high.
First and
Chill more athletic to me.
Okay, first and foremost, it's not 1995 anymore. It's not 2005 anymore. I recognize that. I recognize that the game has changed, and these guys have changed with the game. So I got to get on board with that. That doesn't mean that I still can't recognize guys that are still awesome from 20 years ago, from 30 years ago. But then also at the same time recognize that how awesome these guys are today without shitting on the other dudes from back in the days and being ridiculous with these dudes. And coming up here and saying crazy shit like Sleepy Floyd will be a top 10 guard in the game today. Relax.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Relax. Chill out.
Who said
he
that,
ain't
though?
that nice. No, he's not. Sleepy Floyd ain't that nice. But I can recognize when I see SGA, when I've seen him early on in his career in 21 and in 22 and go, you know what? He remind me of Steve Smith. But then he starts getting nice. And I'm like, now I'm moving a little bit away from that because he's way better than that, right? But that doesn't mean that I'm staying this one place, because I'm not. I'm evolving with what's going on today. Because if I wasn't, I'd still be up here like, yo, Fat Lever is the best player. He the best point guard in the NBA today. No,
but don't go that far back, Chill. Don't go that far, Chill. I'm talking about when I hear you say things like, "Yo, what Jokic would do to Tim Duncan," I'm just like, Chill. I thought you. See, but I will never say nothing about Alonzo Mourning. I'm talking about
this is the defensive player of the year in a center in a big man era. Alonzo Mourning was doing that. Joker will bust his ass. I'm convinced of that.
But Jokic can't tie Tim Duncan's practice kicks, and it's just that.
I think Joker would give Tim Duncan work. I think Tim Duncan would have his hands full with Joker. 100%. I 100% believe Joker would have his hand. And as good as Duncan is as a defender, and I think Duncan is a top 5 defender all time, he'd have his hands full with Joker. Hell yes.
Absolutely.
All night long,
Chill,
he'd have his hands full with him.
You don't see anything wrong with Stan Van Gundy's statement about Jokic being the best in the world or the best ever?
I do see the fact that he's seen Jabbar, the fact that he's seen Jordan. I mean, after 10 years, you think this dude is it would work if he said it. I think he could be if he continues doing what he's doing. I could get with that. But the fact that
he was talking about. Like, he wasn't
what exactly was he talking about?
Like he's not talking about.
He's talking about him as a basketball player because that's what Mars
when he said the statement of the 20 best players during the last 20 years. He obviously wasn't talking about resumes and what guys put together.
Just as a basketball.
Yeah. So
that's what
respectfully, like Kareem already was disqualified from the moment he said the 20 best players played in the last 20 years. So really, what he's saying is Jokic is the best player of the last 20 years, or he might be, which is what he's now saying is he's better than Bron, Kobe,
it's
Duncan.
Still ridiculous.
Yeah, but that's fine, and I disagree with him. But what I'm saying is, like, if we're gonna talk about what he said, we have to like look at it through the lens of what he said.
Mm-hmm.
So what he said, he wasn't talking about accolades, he wasn't talking about longevity, he wasn't talking about resume, he wasn't talking about none of that. So if we're gonna bring those things up, we're kind of just moving the conversation away from what he said, which is fine. But then why are we even talking about it? So if we're gonna talk about what he said, we have to look at it from the lens of what he actually said. And from that lens, I still disagree with him. Do I agree that the 20 best players in the last 20 years? No. I think when he said that, he was probably more so saying from 2000.
2000, yeah.
I think that's probably what he meant more of, but I still don't agree with that statement. Obviously, you got MJs, Hakeem's. I still respect the Larry Birds of the world. But we also got to acknowledge he's not doing relative to error when he says that. He's saying from a pure skill set perspective, if you put all of NBA history on a court, the best players you would pick the players from the current generation. Mm-hmm. You would pick the Stephs, the KDs, the Jokic, the Giannis. You would pick them before you go say, oh, look, Jerry West. Like, no one's going to pick him. Mm-hmm. So we got to acknowledge it from that lens. So relative to error is out.
What he said, to Mars, to your point, what he said exactly was, here's the thing. My son says this all the time. I understand the thought that you compare players to how well they did in the era they played in. But the evolution of athletes is, we can probably say that the best 20 basketball players in history have probably played in the last 20 years. And he went on to say, to me right now, LeBron's the best player in the history of the game. People want to argue Jordan and the whole thing. Jordan's moments were 30 years ago, man. Players have gotten better. These guys are the best players ever in every sport. It's not trying to demean anybody. That's just evolution. If I had to take one guy in history right now, I'm taking Joker. End quote.
Yeah. Chill.
So is it Joker or is it LeBron?
Yeah,
see, I'm telling you, hey, real talk, hypocrisy out his fat lips.
It's talking about right now, though.
Hypocrisy out his fat lips.
It's understanding the context. So Bron, body of work, all of that, everything he's put together. Okay, Bron he's number one. But if you ask me, best of the best, everyone on the court, who do I think is the best ever? Yeah, it's Jokic. He peaked higher than Bron.
Not hypocrisy. Blasphemy out his fat lips.
Yeah, fine. There we go. Now we can say we will disagree. I think all of us think Bron is better than Jokic was. I think we all agree with that. So yeah, we disagree.
Hell yeah.
I think Stan Van Gundy, we disagree with him. But if we're gonna disagree with him, we have to disagree with him on the premise of the things he's saying, not on the way we interpret what he's saying and changing the subject. He's not talking about who has the most MVP awards and finals MVPs. He's not talking about that. So we're gonna entertain the conversation.
So he just talking about pure game,
the lens
though, right?
of what he's saying. So pure game, we're air taxing because that's what he's doing. Whether we like it or not. So air attacks, no accolades, everyone at their best. That's the context that he's provided. Do I agree with him? No. Do I think Jokic has a case? If we're going to say everything before the 2000s or the last 20 years, kind of just by theory of evolution, isn't as good as what we have now. Do I think Jokic has a case to have the highest peak of the last 20 years? I think it would have to be a hell of an argument to try and convince me that he's better than Bron. to me.
Yeah.
Fuck no.
But I will say, in my opinion, I think I could make a very strong argument that he's second. I could make that argument, but I couldn't convince myself he would be over Bron. But in the last 20 years, so 05, 06 to now, I could make the argument that Jokic is second. I could make that argument.
For y'all, but when y'all talk about these players, I just want to be clear about something. When y'all talk about these players and talk about, like, let's say Hakeem comes up or Kareem comes up or even Jordan, Bird, whatever, right? Do y'all talk about that like relative to era? Because I don't. Like I'm talking when I talk about Hakeem and Kareem, I'm talking about them. Pick them up and put them here.
That's how
I don't
look at it.
I don't talk about it like
I always do relative to era unless I'm saying otherwise. I'm not in the business of time traveling players. I don't find that interesting.
The reason why
I just want to, because I think Kareem is that good. Like, I don't need to talk about, oh, he would only do this if he was playing against them. No. I don't do that relative to era thing.
I do relative to era. This is what you did during your time. But I also look at your game. Is your game timeless? Like if we picked your game up and we put you 15 years from when you played, 20 years from when you played, could you still do that stuff? And there's plenty of players that I've seen. I'm like, yo, he could do that today. He could get busy today. Absolutely, he could do that.
I agree.
Chill, you know James Worthy. You know what James Worthy would do to Evan Mobley.
James Worthy will bust Evan Mobley ass.
It's the player choice way. Yeah, them boys don't get it started. The player choice way. You're the player choice way. Come and switch lanes into the player choice way.